This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening. This is the June 3rd, 2025 meeting of the Council of the Borough of Matawan, New Jersey. Pursuant to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by publishing notification in the Star Ledger on January 13, 2025, by sending a notice to the Asbury Park Press and by posting. A copy of said notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the Borough Clerk. A copy of said notice has also been sent to such members of the public as have requested such information in accordance with the statute. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Councilperson Dana Gunn. Present. Councilperson Olin Filas.
Present.
Councilperson Brian Livesey has an excused absence this evening. Councilperson Stephen Russell.
Present.
Councilperson Suzanne Reynolds. Here. Councilperson Charles Ross.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Please stand for a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Except for any first responders, please silence all cell phones. Council and members of the public, please speak clearly and directly into the microphone to properly record for the audio system. Tonight we are adding resolution 25-06-10, donation of police vehicle to the first aid squad, to tonight's consent agenda. I also want to remind everyone that the comment section is for comments, not comments and debate. This gives the speaker the entire 5 minutes, and once the 5 minutes is over, that concludes their time at the podium. Thank you. First, public hearing for Tahoon Park Improvements Project. Have a motion to open a public hearing?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion passed.
Thank you. The first part is grant application for Monmouth County Municipal Park Improvement Grant Program, and I'll have a borough administrator start off.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm very excited. We're hoping with the governing body's approval tonight to submit a grant application to the Monmouth County Park System for a grant to support a large improvement to Terhune Park, which would involve complete regrading, accessibility, new playground, electrical and sound system improvements, as well as other picnic tables and recreational facilities. So we're hoping this is a matching grant. So, well, it would require some participation on the borough. It's not like a 50-50%. So we're hopeful. We traditionally have been successful in the past, and look to the governing body's approval tonight to submit the application to the county.
Thank you. If anybody from the public would like to come up in regards to the Tahoon Park improvement projects? No one? Okay. Anybody from the days?
No.
Okay. Motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion passed.
At this time, resolution 25-06-01, authorizing application for Monmouth County Municipal Park Improvement Grants Program, Tahoon Park Improvement. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilperson Gunn? Yes. Councilperson Filas?
Yes.
Councilperson Russell?
Yes.
Councilperson Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilperson Ross?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Can I ask someone from the audience if you can move that podium just to the middle? Thank you. And maybe good. And at this time, privilege of the floor for agenda items only. So noted. Agenda items.
What's on the agenda?
It's on the agenda tonight.
So basically anything, like if you've got your program, anything that's here between the proclamation 7, 8, 9, going out to new business until the next privilege of the floor, then if it's not listed in one of those, then it could be addressed in the second privilege of the floor, which is just open to whatever anybody wants to talk about.
Should have just stayed here when I moved the podium.
Please raise the microphone up, state your name and address.
Doesn't go far enough.
As high as you can. Thank you.
Curtis Ronstadt, 13 Church Street, Matawan. Good.
Thank you.
So the governing body and the residents of Matawan, I stand before you at the crossroads of Matawan history. For the past 10 years, I, along with my family, my friends, and members of the Matawan Historical Society and Borough Sites Commission, have worked tirelessly in pursuing, discovering, cultivating, promoting, and most of all, preserving Matawan and Aberdeen history. From the thousands who visited Matawan during the 2016 Shark Attack Commemoration Week, to the hundreds that attended the Prohibition play that we did together, to the 2,000 spectators who attended the reenactment for the raid on the borough's mansion for the 300th anniversary, we have put our blood, sweat, and tears into the preservation of Matawan history. In 1969, a small group of historically and civically minded residents successfully banded together to save the home of Philip Freneau on Poets Drive. Today, I'm here to appeal to everyone behind the dais to fight against the degradation of our historic district, fight against irresponsible development, and send a message to developers that we want responsible and appropriate development in Matawan, and we won't be bullied in taking what they give us because we're desperate. How do we get here? Over 3 years ago, a builder's remedy lawsuit was filed against our town due to some of the shortfall of Matawan for years not designating an area of the town for affordable housing. As our affordable housing attorney said, quote, Matawan kicked the can down the road for years. This is not unique to Matawan and has become an increasing problem in a variety of municipalities where these have occurred. I concede that. But I would venture to say that Matawan is an awesome town, loaded with not only local and state history, but American history. Opposition to this development is a hill worth dying on for Matawan, no matter the time, no matter the cost. So the big question comes down to this. Does the governing body support this development or not? If they do, then I, along with the majority of this town, respectfully disagree that this is appropriate for Matawan. On the other side, if they don't support this development, then three primary things should be considered. Why was the lawsuit not discussed with the public for 3 years, with no input from Planning, Zoning, Sites Commission, Historical Society, Washington Firehouse, which uses the street as its primary corridor in emergency responses? We could have fought this together. Based on my research, nothing could have been found where there was a successful builder's remedy lawsuit filed for the installation of a development in a historic district. I'm not sure whether or not the provision was ever utilized in defending this case. And then finally, why did we not designate an area of this town for affordable housing when the state required such? Not just for this administration, but going all the way back. This would have avoided the basis of the suit from the start. Therefore, either leadership was okay with the development, or they messed up by not doing or defending our residents from the inappropriate development that will degrade our Main Street, erode our history, increase parking issues, traffic issues, overall destroys the quality of life of my residents. For all the people in this town, especially people like myself who not only love the historic district, but live in it. If you were really and sincerely against this development, then I would be right beside you fighting this fight against this. Remember, this is not about winning the case. It's about trying to get something better. And you should have called in the troops. What do I mean? We did this before. As most of you probably recall, we had great success in acquiring the 3 vacant lots in the Presbyterian Church to save Matawan's woods. To save Matawan's woods, which I call Settlers Cove because it's where the first brave settlers arrived here in Matawan in 1686. We had success in fighting against the fuel station, which was next to one of our most historic sites in this town. I have respect for every one of you behind this dais, for things that you have done for the Historical Society. I, along with our membership and our residents, truly appreciate everything that you've done to preserve Matawan history. Public service isn't easy. You get no credit and all the blame. Believe me, I know. Which is why, as your town historian, Vice President of the Historical Society, Chairman of the Borough Historic Sites Commission, and a member of the Planning and Zoning Board, that nobody gave the respect to myself or the people I serve with on any of these entities that I just mentioned by not coming to us so that we could fight this together. These are the volunteers of your town who would have been there for the fight right beside you to defend this town.
I love this town, and I know you guys do as well. This is not a political issue. We all have more in common than we differ on. We want to see a better future for Matawan. We should not need to choose between empty parking lots, derelicted buildings, and a deteriorated Main Street, and a row of apartment buildings that degrade and destroy our Main Street Historic District.
Curtis,
This development as it stands must be stopped.
just to keep it fair for everybody, it's 5 minutes. I don't want to give anybody else more than. That was good. I just want to keep it fair for everybody. Somebody will say, why does this person get more time than me? So just to keep it fair, we keep it at 5 minutes. Not to cut you off. Well said. I can tell you that the third round was in 2009. Obviously, nobody up here was in office at that time. And again, I mentioned at first, this is not a comment in debate, it's a comment sections. Any emails that are sent to us, phone calls, I know I answer every single one. There's not one in the 10 years I've been on here that I haven't answered a phone call back or an email back. So with that said, anybody else, privilege of the floor for agenda items only? All right.
William Morris, 162 Jackson Street, Matawan, New Jersey. I think Curtis pretty much touched everything with all of the issues that this proposed building will, affect. It's just something that we maybe shouldn't even be, haven't come to this point. We should have fought for this earlier, especially looking out for your neighbors that are directly affected. There are numerous. So it's basically all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure that everybody's known about this. I think there are some details that are not clear, but it is litigation and it is laws that are out there. Obviously, it's not in our hands. Anyone else? Privilege of the floor for agenda items only. So noted. Motion to close privilege of the floor?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion passed.
Next, proclamations. So if you were here early at 6:45, I read the Pride Month proclamation in front of the Pride Month flag, and now it's the National Gun Violence Awareness Month, and I will read that proclamation. Whereas this proclamation honors and remembers all victims and survivors of gun violence, as we declare that all of us must do more to reduce gun violence, now more than ever. And whereas every day hundreds of Americans are killed by gun violence, and a mayor's highest responsibility is protecting public safety in the communities in which they serve. They, as well as community law enforcement, know their neighborhoods best. They are most familiar with local criminal activity, how to address it, and are best positioned to understand how to keep their citizens safe. And whereas National Gun Violence Awareness Day was conceived in 2013 after teenager Adelia Pendleton was tragically shot and killed just a week after marching in Barack Obama's second inauguration parade. To keep honor for Hadia and the hundreds of Americans whose lives are cut short, including the countless survivors who are injured by shootings every day, a national coalition of organization has designated the first Friday in June as National Gun Violence Awareness Day. And whereas whereas to commemorate and remember those lives lost, we encourage all to wear orange clothing on June 6, 2025 in an effort to help to raise awareness about gun violence. We renew our commitment to reducing it as we pledge to do all we can to keep firearms out of the wrong hands while encouraging responsible gun ownership in an effort to help keep our children safe. Now, therefore, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Matawan declare June 6th, 2025 to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day and declare the month of June 2025 be dedicated to gun violence awareness. The governing body of the Borough of Matawan encourages all citizens to support their local community's effort to prevent the tragic effects of gun violence and to honor and value human lives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Under old business, ordinance 25-10, amending ordinance 24-27, an ordinance to fix and determine the salaries and wages of officers, management, supervisory personnel, and general employees not represented by an organized bargaining unit and employed by the Borough of Matawan, Monmouth County, New Jersey. Full-time assistant to the borough clerk and receptionist. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion.
Second.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilperson Gunn? Yes. Councilperson Silas?
Yes.
Councilperson Russell?
Yes.
Councilperson Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilperson Ross?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. If anybody would like to come up in response to ordinance 25-10, you may do so now. So noted. Anybody on the dais? So noted. Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilperson Gunn? Yes. Councilperson Silas?
Yes.
Councilperson Russell?
Yes.
Councilperson Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilperson Ross?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Ordinance 25-10, could I have a motion to adopt?
Motion.
Second.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilperson Gunn? Yes. Councilperson Silas?
Yes.
Councilperson Russell?
Yes.
Councilperson Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilperson Ross?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Ordinance 25-11, bond ordinance providing for various road improvements by the Borough of Matawan appropriating $3,500,000. Therefore, including two grants in the aggregate amount of $587,103, expected to be received from the State Department of Transportation, authorizing the issuance of $3,333,000 in bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof. Edgewater Drive, MacArthur Drive, Eisenhower Court Road improvements. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion passed.
At this time, if anybody would like to come up in regards to ordinance 25-11. So noted. Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion passed.
And ordinance 25-11. Have a motion to adopt.
Motion.
Second.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilperson Gunn? Yes. Councilperson Silas?
Yes.
Councilperson Russell?
Yes.
Councilperson Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilperson Ross?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. On the consent agenda, resolutions 25-06-02 through resolutions 25-06-07 and including resolution 25-06-10. We're doing Moss.
I don't want to do
You want to do it individually?
So you could, if you want, you can make a request to pull one or more from the,
25-6-4.
so, Mayor, what you could do is, have a vote on resolution, 25-06-04 first, and then do the consent agenda after that.
I actually want to ask, what is the purpose of this?
Which one?
0604, what is the purpose of this? I read it, is this?
If you want, maybe, Mayor, what you should do is have a motion to see if anybody wants to introduce 25-06-04 and then have some discussion on it, and then, at that point, Councilman Ross could ask his question.
Okay. Resolution 25-06-04. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Motion passed.
No, so now there's discussion by Councilman
I
Ross.
just want to know what is the point of this ordinance? To me, it serves no point.
Sure. So members, I'm not sure if we'll recall, but an individual had come before the governing body advocating in support of this resolution and holding essentially polluters accountable to clean up any waste that they had discharged and be financially responsible for the consequences thereof. So this is a resolution in support of the legislation at the state level that would do that.
The resolution, the state has put forth, has the treasurer in charge of levying any kind of fines on what they deem. So to me, it's a hidden tax wrapped in a climate warming facade. So I think it's nonsense, and I am not voting for it, so.
Okay,
The
then-
tax, you're basically voting to approve a hidden tax on corporations and on the public. You want to be tied to that? Be my guest. I don't.
These are businesses.
This is for a resolution in support of a piece of legislation that's presently pending before the legislature.
Yeah, the
So-
New Jersey Climate Superfund Act, S3 545 A4696, it's currently pending, and it would impose a liability on large fossil fuel companies for certain climate change related damages they caused instead of imposing those on the cost of the New Jersey taxpayers.
Who proves that they caused it? Just, again, I like to understand it, too. You said, Exxon has a tanker in the Raritan Bay, it spills, yes, hold them liable. There's a hurricane, who are you gonna hold liable? Who are you gonna blame it on? Just because we want to blame a fossil fuel company or an oil company? I'm not saying here in Matawan, I'm not saying the state of New Jersey and that they think they have this right to impose any kind of tax or fine based on what they deem may or may not have caused something. So that's why I'm against this, so that you all know where I'm coming from. This is a hidden tax that the state of New Jersey go, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go out and tax on $15 million because there was a hurricane last year and I think somebody's gotta pay for it. That's why you're paying insurance for it. That's why insurance companies have all this money for it. That's why the federal government comes in with assistance as well. To sit there and say we as Jersey, who pretty much most of the people in Jersey Trent are incompetent, I'm not gonna give them this power. I'm not gonna back it, I'm not gonna support it, and that's where I stand.
I would assume, no matter what we do here, if the state passes it, that's
Correct.
part of
Right.
it.
So all that this body is doing is voting whether or not to send us a signal of support by way of resolution. If you look at the last page, if the resolution is adopted, it would be sent to the governor, to the Senate president, the Assembly Speaker, and so on, letting them know that this body supports that legislation. It's more of a symbolic thing and just a token of support, or if it's voted down, then we don't send it.
If you do send it, can you put my no is capital N-O?
Well, I don't think that would be included on.
Maybe I'll add it on the side.
Anyone else? All right, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilperson Gunn? Yes. Councilperson Silas?
Yes.
Councilperson Russell?
Yes.
Councilperson Reynolds?
No.
Councilperson Ross?
No.
Motion passed.
And resolution 25-06-06, you have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Good. Councilman Ross, did you want to speak on this?
No, I just want to do the 0604,
Yeah, you could do the rest on it by way of, you could do the rest by way.
no, I'm sorry.
Just
I meant to
that
say
one. So
-04-06.
Oh, you
That
said
one.
06, I thought you meant.
My bad.
So, all right, you could request a motion for 02, 03, 05, 06, 07, and 10, all as part of a consented.
Receive, I got it. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilperson Gunn? Yes. Councilperson Silas?
Yes.
Councilperson Russell?
Yes.
Councilperson Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilperson Ross?
Yes.
Motion passed.
And under new business, ordinance 25-12, an ordinance of the Borough of Matawan in the County of Monmouth and State of New Jersey to amend Chapter 34 entitled Development Regulations to create the 160 Main Street mixed-use district on Block 27, Lot 2 in the Borough of Matawan and provide appropriate development regulations therefore. Can I have a motion to introduce?
I'll make the motion introduced.
Second.
And you may want to ask for discussion.
I'm going to ask for the Borough Administrator to make a statement.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to take a few minutes to discuss 160 Main and the proposed zoning lay ordinance that's before the governing body tonight. I understand that this issue has created a lot of concern, some confusion, and a great deal of discussion in our community. So I thought it would be important for us to walk through how we got to where we are, what's at stake, and what the proposed settlement means for the borough. And I want to begin by saying I don't believe that it is anyone on this dais, or probably anyone in this community, that feels that this is a moment of celebration. What's before us was never part of our plan. It is a response to a situation that's been developing over the course of many years. For legal context, back in 2021, the borough submitted its plan for affordable housing. Soon thereafter, the owner of 160 Main Street and potential developer filed what's called a builder's remedy lawsuit. This is a specific type of legal action available to developers when a municipal is alleged to have fallen short of its affordable housing obligations under the New Jersey Constitution. How that works is a developer offers to include affordable housing units in their project. In doing so, they gain the ability to challenge and override local zoning laws that would otherwise prohibit or restrict development. Courts have consistently ruled in favor of these plaintiffs because New Jersey municipalities are legally and constitutionally obligated to provide opportunities for affordable housing. This is not a Matawan issue, it's a statewide reality, one that every New Jersey town must navigate. In light of the legal framework, this governing body was faced with an incredibly difficult choice: to litigate and almost certainly lose, almost as most legal and planning professionals are hard-pressed to find one single case in the entire history of New Jersey that a municipality has won. In other words, if we do not adopt the overlay and follow through with this ordinance, we face two serious consequences. First, the settlement could be avoided by the court, sending us back to square one. Second, we could once again be subject to a larger, denser, and more intrusive court-imposed development, potentially the original 4-story, 54-unit proposal or larger. And that is what the original proposal was of the developer. And with that comes the burden of continued legal fees, expert costs, and the loss of any local control. It would be completely determined by the court. Or the other option is negotiate and retain some control, which is what we've been doing. We chose to settle, and we did so to protect the borough. This proposed settlement is not something we rushed into. It is the result of 3 years of litigation, negotiation with the developer and their legal counsel, extensive consultation with our own legal team, planners, and engineers. It reflects a pragmatic response, not a perfect outcome, but a much better one than the alternative. What the settlement achieves. The original proposal was 54 units and a 4-story building. The current project is reduced to 46, of which 8 must be affordable. The building height is reduced to 3 stories. The developer eliminated an entire story from his plan. Parking is partially underground with some exposure on Jackson Street. Enforceable architectural and design standards have been incorporated to ensure the project fits into the character and the surrounding neighborhood. What's before us tonight is not a final project approval. It is the first reading of an ordinance to create a zoning overlay that implements the terms of the settlement. If introduced, it will go to the Planning and Zoning Board for review and analysis. It will come back to this body for potential second reading, public hearing, and then a final vote. Then after this process, the developer of the site would still be subject to site plan review and have to appear before the Planning and Zoning Board and undergo a full development review process with the scrutiny and oversight that it entails, including traffic, parking, stormwater, neighborhood impact, community input, and more. Affordable housing is a constitutional mandate. While we understand and respect the desire to preserve the historical character of Matawan's Main Street, it is essential to recognize that the right to affordable housing is a constitutional obligation in New Jersey, rooted in landmark Mount Laurel decisions. Courts have consistently ruled that municipalities must realistically provide opportunities for development of affordable housing and cannot use restrictive zoning to exclude low-income residents. In the legal hierarchy, the obligation to meet affordable housing mandates takes precedence over local zoning preferences, even those based on aesthetics or preservation goals. The borough's settlement is a lawful, court-sanctioned response to its constitutional mandate. We've heard concerns of historic preservation, and I want to address them directly. The property at 160 Main is not a state or federally designated historic site. While it sits within our downtown preservation district, that is a local zoning classification, not a formal historic protection. That said, after years of negotiation, the design standards built into the settlement aim to match the architectural rhythm of the nearby buildings, approved and already constructed. just as has been done with other developments downtown. This intent is to integrate the project visually and functionally within its surroundings. We've also heard criticisms of perceived lack of transparency, and I want to be very clear. We take that very seriously. Transparency is of utmost concern. But we are also legally constrained because the settlement has not yet even finally been adjudicated in court and finalized. The borough must preserve its legal posture. Therefore, we cannot publicly respond to every allegation, rumor, or misstatement without jeopardizing our legal standing. That's frustrating, I get that. But there are limitations of an ongoing legal process, and we regret the confusion that that causes. We've heard that the current property has been listed for auction, and that's true, but the protections in the settlement run with the land. That means any future buyer or developer must comply with the same limitations: unit count, building height, architectural style, and the public review process. This is important because we've seen before, I'm not saying necessarily with this developer, but soft developers come in, they secure favorable zoning, and then they sell to a larger firm who may not share values or our priorities. By approving the overlay and finalizing the settlement, we ensure that no matter who owns the site, the rules are locked in. This is not an easy decision, but it is a necessary and responsible one. We're not rubber stamping a development, we're not surrendering to a developer, we're navigating a complex legal and constitutional landscape in a way that minimizes harm, preserves community character, protects Matawan from greater risk. To walk away from this settlement is to roll the dice with millions of dollars, the integrity of our zoning code, and the fabric of our downtown state. I hope this overview has helped provide some clarity on how we got here and why this action is in the best interest of the borough. I thank you for your time, Mayor.
Thank you, Ryan.
Can either yourself or the attorney mention what we did to stop?
Yeah, well, obviously, you know, I'm the borough attorney. I've only been in this role since January, so this predated me. But ever since I've been on board with the borough, I've been working with redevelopment attorneys who have been working on this matter for a number of years to try to secure a favorable outcome. And you know, part of that is, from my understanding, that by settling this matter, that protects the borough from future litigation relative to, you know, the same property and also relative to the third round housing need. You know, obviously we're entering the fourth round now, and there's been already resolutions passed on that. So in order to get all of the affordable housing obligations met, our redevelopment attorneys are working on this pending litigation to get the third round and the fourth round approved together in order to try to insulate the borough from future litigation. So they're not here tonight, so I'm sort of not in the best position to talk on their behalf, except to say that I know that they're, you know, doing the best that they can. They're, you know, reputable and very skilled attorneys, and we have to be a little bit cautious as members of the governing body who are up here with me in terms of what's said, just because they still have to go to court, and there are other parties to the litigation. They need to, you know, move forward in a matter that they deem to be strategic, and we have to be careful that we don't say anything or do anything that could harm their ability to move forward and get the settlement that they've been working on for this period of time, which is being designed to protect the borough from future litigations and to set what the affordable housing is going to be in town and where it could be. So that's, you know, pretty much what I just wanted to say about that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan.
All right, we have a first and a second motion, correct?
Yes.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilperson Gunn? Yes. Councilperson Silas?
Yes.
Councilperson Russell?
Yes.
Councilperson Reynolds?
No.
Councilperson Ross?
No.
Motion passed. The public hearing is scheduled for 7 p.m. June 17.
Resolutions 25-06-08, payment of bills. Do you have a motion?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion passed.
And at this time, privilege of the floor.
Hello, everybody. I have a quick question.
Your name and address, please?
Oh,
to
yeah,
the
I'm sorry.
microphone.
Guy Buckle, 14 Chestnut Drive.
Thank you.
This has been going on for a few years. It's been noted. Has anybody seen a picture of what this building is going to look like? Can we see what it's going to look like to maybe give us a little more understanding of what you're trying to put there?
Yes, I can. I'm probably not able to project, but if anybody after the meeting wants to come up, I can certainly.
That would be
and I'll
helpful.
post it online as
I appreciate, that would be helpful. And are they taking the medical building next to that down? Is that included as well?
well. Yes.
Not just Bank of America? Thank you. Oh.
It's Santander. It's
I mean,
Santander.
yes, Santander, I'm sorry, backwards. And the water extension is going to be on the taxpayers to supply this building?
No.
Is that?
Complete, all off-track improvements related to water and sewer and any other addition will be the responsibility of the developer,
Oh, well, that's good. Thank you.
which was part of this agreement as well.
You're welcome. Anyone else with privilege of the floor? Come on up.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Susan Makaitis. I'm from Atlantic Highlands, but I represent Food and Water Watch. I do want to thank you for your support.
Who do you represent?
Pardon?
I didn't hear who you represent.
Food and Water Watch? Okay. I do want to thank you for your support of the Superfund Act, totally acknowledging that there are people on the council that don't support this, and I'm happy to answer any questions after the meeting is over, if there are any questions that I can help answer.
Okay.
But I do want to thank you for your support. And we currently have more than 40 municipalities supporting this bill, with more than 40 co-sponsors in the legislature. So we're hoping to get this passed this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else with privilege of the floor?
Hi, my name is Abby Berg. I live at 299 Broad Street. So I just want to do a quick little wrap up of the last 3 or 4 meetings that I went to, because I'm a little concerned, is the word I'll say. The first meeting I went to, you talked about the 10 million bond of the water, which was needed for this building. Anyone who was here said no. You said, we're going to do it anyway. So that was that. The second meeting I went to, I had emailed the council, and then suddenly no one got my emails. And then the mayor said he answers all his emails. The only people I've ever actually got respond is from Ms. Gunn, Mr. Fields, Ms. Reynolds, and Mr. Ross. Our third meeting we went to, I voiced concerns about the farmer's market, and our mayor gave us a Marie Antoinette let them eat cake moment when I was concerned about the food stamp part getting gone. And he said, if we can't afford things in this town, we should just go to ShopRite with our food stamps, which is so concerning to me. Oh, and for the record, since you said I should mention it, I do have a tax ID number. I just don't have a Matawan business ID, so I'm good with the IRS, but thanks for your concern about that the last time. And then the next time we're here, and while Curtis is voicing a really serious concern, the mayor and the borough attorney are having a side conversation while he's talking. It's just concerning, the behavior is concerning. I guess I have the one question I do have about this building is, if it is for sale, why don't we buy it? We can bond for everything else in this town. Let's buy the piece of property. Put a park there, put another school there, put a dog park there, put a parking lot there, put anything there other than this. If it's for sale, let's get together and let's buy it. And then my other concern would be, if it's 3 stories and the bottom is stores, can we get rid of the 3rd story and just make it all retail? All housing? Because that way we don't have another owner of a building that says, I can't rent this out, and we're going to be like, oh, poor you, let's lower the tax rate so it doesn't have to pay enough taxes on it. Because that's what's happening with Key Food, and there's no reason for them. What is the reason for Key Food to open? There's no reason for it. He keeps on getting his taxes lowered on it, and we lose money. We have no vocational programming in this town for our kids at all. Aberdeen is now working with the high school to try to create vocational programming in the school. Vocational in this county is pretty much gone. They're getting rid of all of this stuff in our town because we can't afford it, but we're gonna put another building up. It's concerning. And then my last question is, with this construction, with the other constructions, are we now done? Have we filled all of our obligation? And if not, how much more do we have to fill? And how do you presume to do that? Because if it's only 8 and we owe like, I don't know, maybe 60, whatever the number is, how are we going to get there? That's a concern, because this is just a Band-Aid. It's not going to help it. So, and also that picture of the weight you showed, that's terrible. I'm sorry, it's ugly. It's ugly, it doesn't look nice. We're a historical little tiny beach town. That's the way we always were. We were quiet, we were slow. You can't get down Main Street. I live on Broad, at the other end of Broad. It takes me like 20 minutes sometimes in the morning to get to the middle school if my daughter misses the bus. That's insane. It's so crazy. And that's even without High Street being closed, because once High Street opens, it's not going to matter because Ravine Drive is going to be closed. So just concerned. It's like, why are you doing the things that you're doing? It doesn't seem to like do good for us. I don't know. If we have money for every other bond, that's what it's like, 3,333,000 today for streets. So let's bond out some property value and buy it ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Jennifer Morris. I live at 162 Jackson Street. You mentioned that there's going to be parking on Jackson Street. As it stands today, I can barely pull in and out of my own driveway without getting hit from people navigating around Ravine Drive's light. You build a building across the street, I'm not sure how I'm getting in and out of my driveway. So it's a concern. And if you have parking on the street, I don't know where you think the parking is going. There is no parking. There's barely enough room for 2 cars to pass. When our neighbors moved in and out, they couldn't park a U-Haul truck on the street because it was blocking the street. They were asked to move it by the police. So there is no parking on Jackson Street. So very concerned about that comment. My other question to you is on Fountain Avenue. There's another building with medical offices and some other properties and businesses there. Those people use the parking lot that is currently at 160. What's the plan for those folks, and where are they going to park? What are those businesses doing? Are they going out of business because the town decided to make a different decision? It's not okay in my book. And you mentioned that this has been going back to 2021. Well, some of you have been part of the revitalization of the downtown. You had the responsibility to make it right from the beginning when you approved these other buildings that have already been approved to go up in town. If you didn't make the responsible decision then, how do we trust you now?
I just want to clarify, because the comment related to the parking, there won't be parking for this on Jackson. By that comment, I meant that you would see the parking structure underneath the building from Jackson Street. And I apologize for the confusion. And the previous developments are not approved by this governing body either. I just want to clarify that as well. That's an approval strictly for the Planning and Zoning Board.
And while we're on the topic, just before we switch off, the mayor, I apologize to everybody for having a side conversation with the mayor. Obviously, our intention is to listen to what you have to say. One of the things that I did just talk to the mayor about relative to the auction, that's something that is we're going to have to talk to our land use attorney about. But the auction is something that is driven up by private buyers. So it's difficult for a municipality to necessarily participate in that kind of an auction because of the fact that we have to pass an ordinance in order to purchase property. And usually these types of private auctions aren't waiting for municipalities to, pass ordinances before they sell to the high bidder. But, at this point, we're going to deal with our redevelopment attorneys and try to find out what options are on the table relative to everything moving forward. So I just wanted to make that clear. And also apologize for what was perceived to be a side conversation earlier.
If you could just clarify on the value and what the municipality could buy.
Right. Well, obviously, a municipality has to have the money to buy something. So if we don't know what the final price,
The value comes less than what they're asking for.
so the mayor asked me if the value of the property ends up being less than what it's purchased for, are we allowed to buy it? I'm not sure. I think what the mayor is asking, obviously the municipality has to be stewards of the taxpayer funds. So let's say that a private developer is willing to pay $1.5 million or $2 million for this property. The borough, can in good conscience outbid them and, pay some sum above that if they can't justify that in terms of the fair market value for what we could use it for. So we do have to be responsible stewards of the borough taxpayers' funds.
Yeah, if I could be a little more clear, let's say the value of that property comes back at, just for numbers, 800,000. That property was bought for more than that from the developer, so he's gonna, I'm sure he's gonna want probably 3-4 million. Right, there was another property that sold on Main Street for 2 something. So when the one, almost $3 million, let's say, and it's only valued at 800,000, I don't know if we can legally buy the property, correct?
And so there would have to be an appraisal done. There would have to be a determination by the borough governing body that it can, in good conscience, put a particular dollar value on the property, and it would have to be tied to fiscal responsibility that the property is worth the money that the borough is going to pay for it, and then the borough would have to figure out how to pay for it. So there's a lot that would go into that calculation.
Can I ask a question?
Can I ask, sorry, just one more thing. Can we have our redevelopment talk with the seller, at least have some conversation and see if we can settle on some kind of price beforehand?
Well, so again, right now, from our understanding of what the seller is doing, is they've put an auction up, and that's their right to do. I mean, they've got the property, they've got the settlement hasn't been finalized yet, but they're moving on with the operation that they're going to be able to sell this with favorable conditions, like what Ryan, the administrator, had outlined earlier. So the ability to enter into a side deal with them and say, stop your auction, I mean, that's going to be up to them. They're a private owner, and they could dispose of the property on whatever terms that they find most appropriate, which in most cases is, for them, is going to be to maximize the sale price. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation.
In sort of responsive to the mayor's comments about potentially discussing with them about a sales price, I did reach out to the firm representing them in the auction last week, and I asked them to see if there was openness to the borough even participating, and I've yet to even get a response, so I'm not hopeful.
I think Councilwoman Reynolds here.
So I guess one of my biggest concerns at this point is, obviously this has been on the agenda since last week. And as you've stated, Mr. Cohen, you are not our land use attorney. So knowing that this was going to be an uphill battle, especially with the community, why would we not have our land use attorney here to answer questions and concerns of the public and the governing body?
So is that regarding the auction or this?
Regarding the fact that this part of the settlement is on the agenda. As you stated, it's a proposed settlement. It's not finalized. Therefore, you're saying if we don't take it, we roll the dice. All of us are sitting here with a bunch of questions, I myself included. So why would we not have a land use attorney here to answer those questions, to discuss the matter at hand, discuss the settlement? And the fact is, I'm pretty sure any of these residents, we've had a boatload of lawsuits. Let's roll the dice, because we don't know how the election is going to go. So roll the dice and see if affordable housing even gets kicked out of here.
So I think part of the issue, I think when Ryan said earlier, the administrator was trying to talk about the problem between measuring transparency and also being responsible relative to the litigation. That really is a tough balance, because ultimately the residents of the borough elected the 7 of you to be able to look out for their best interests when it comes to things like that. So part of that means that I think on the 17th at our next meeting in 2 weeks. Right now, we're hoping that the land use attorney, the redevelopment attorney, does come and have an executive session. As much as we would love to include the entire community in that discussion, for reasons of efficiency and to protect ourselves legally, we have to really have that discussion in an executive session with just the redevelopment attorney and the elected representatives. Because that's just not a matter that we could air out publicly and also protect the borough from the legal ramifications.
I understand, but let's be transparent.
Well, if I could respond to the question. So this is, and I apologize to the public, because you're most likely, most of you are not familiar with the process of the legislative process in municipalities. when an ordinance is required, which is something that's a higher level of a resolution. A resolution is a thing that only lasts for a year. An ordinance lasts on the books in eternity until it's changed. So when it's an ordinance, it requires a first reading, and it's just a simple introduction. And that allows the public, the council, and any other interested member to have a copy of the thing that's being introduced and then given time to review it. And then at a subsequent meeting, a public hearing is held. And the public hearing, which we had 2 of them on the agenda earlier today, which was related to fixing something in the salary ordinance, and then fixing something in the salary ordinance, and a bond proposal for road improvements. So this meeting of course, because there is so many people here, we wanted to be responsive and not let your comments fall on deaf ears. But at the same time, this meeting is not generally designed to be the one where where there's a dialogue about it necessarily. But there are ample opportunities going forward for that dialogue to happen, not even just here. It will be referred to the Planning and Zoning Board on June 9th. There'll be an opportunity there. Our council who handled this matter will be present, as well as our land use attorneys. And then again, it will return to the governing body if the Planning Board approves it for its consistency. It will return to the governing body for its public hearing for that dialogue to occur on June 17th.
Okay, so let's just be fully transparent since you said that we want to do that. The auction ends July 14th. So since this was on the agenda quite a few weeks ago and it was pulled, it just seems like a rush job that we put it on there now, public hearing next week, right before the auction ends and this guy sells it. That's what the public should know.
But that's not
There's
actually the
no-
case.
Perception is reality.
I
Feelings aren't
resent
facts.
any type of, particularly from a member of the governing body, that there's any attempt to hoodwink the public. That's a serious accusation.
And I'm willing to stand behind it. Perception
Do you
is
have any
reality.
proof?
Ms. Reynolds, you didn't know that there was a public hearing coming up.
Do you have any proof
A public hearing-
to support that claim?
That's
Ms. Reynolds?
exactly
Do you
what a
have any
public
proof?
hearing is for.
It doesn't matter. Perception
It
is
does.
reality.
You just made a serious accusation that I am trying to defraud the public.
No one
Did you
said
make
you.
that accusation, Ms. Reynolds?
No one said you.
She's saying perception.
Are we ready for other questions? The infighting can happen at another time. But the residents came here tonight out of concern. I'm Meredith Copstead, 249 Harding Boulevard in Matawan. Most folks in this room tonight, they don't want to say it out loud, so I'll say it. They're tired of the overbuilding in this town. They're tired of it in Aberdeen. They're tired of it in Matawan. It's enough. Our schools cannot handle it anymore. Our roads, our infrastructure cannot handle it. So although I can agree with Suzanne and Charlie for voting no against these things, because that's how we all feel at this point. The I's are not dotted, the T's are not crossed. We're talking about transparency. You have a picture of this proposed building. Prior to tonight, who else saw it?
So the entire governing body already approved
Right.
this proposed settlement agreement.
But
once.
nobody in town that votes. for
Because it's
governing
still under
body.
litigation. I hear your frustration.
It's frustrating beyond.
I hear
I
you.
mean, Restore Matawan, 10 years ago, great team, did a lot of great work. Now, you're right, the social media blitz, myself included, it's raw. Nobody is happy. Our taxes are through the roof. Your water is increasing. These impacts, they're horrible. I don't know if any of you have children in the high school. I know you do. Drive there drive there for 10 consecutive days. You will want to shoot yourself. Speaking of gun laws. The overcrowding, the understaffing, the reaching out to your community for help. Let's reach out to the BOE president. Let's get some help. Let's get the police helping, navigating the traffic. You have young drivers. They don't know better, some of them. You get crickets. They don't work with us. We don't work with them. Now you're just adding to what's already a mess. The beautifications that have been done, they're wonderful, but something has to change. I'm in agreement. I think we have to roll the dice. I'm not a legal member. I'm not a council member. There's a lot of other options out there. You put this thing on Main Street, you're gonna make it 3 lanes, because that's what you need to get around, because you can't get through anymore. If you're lucky during peak times, 2 lights. It takes 3 lights. People here are disgusted, bottom line. They're disgusted with everything, and it's all goes back to the overbuilding in Matawan and Aberdeen. Fix your infrastructure first. Get these roads and bridges fixed. You talk about, this doesn't bring in business. I could name on one hand the best businesses on downtown Main Street that they're hanging on by a thread. What does this do? This doesn't bring value to them. Incentivize business to come, not developers. You need to add affordable housing? Talk to the developer down by the lower end of Main Street and those. Why can't we piggyback on what we did then? I mean, we can blame Busolato and company for a lot, but this is years in the making, and we've put up a lot of other stuff in between now and from 10 years ago. So I think you have to bring everybody together in a more comfortable forum where people don't feel like they're going to be attacked. You all can have your infighting. That's what you're elected to do, and I'm okay with that. But for us, we came here to express our deep, deep concern of what this is doing to the town. That's it.
Thank you.
I think Thursday evening's Board of Ed meeting, I believe they will be presenting the new study they did. So you might want to attend that too. There's a study being done, I believe it's an outside agency, not by the board itself. They did a study on the population of the schools.
Same study done by Aberdeen that would affect our school district last work?
It's an outside, I mean, you can choose to not believe it if you don't, but those are the facts. I would just say that we have been informed by our attorneys it is the best interest of the borough not to comment, but when we are able to comment, we will absolutely comment because there's a lot of misinformation happening there. And I would just ask the borough administrator if he could speak to the timeline and the obligation that we're under to meet those timelines as to why it was on this meeting. And if you could just speak to some of the deadlines coming up as well.
Sure. So responsive to the already approved settlement agreement months ago by, I believe it was a prior governing body, so Ms. Reynolds was not present for that, but everyone else on the dais voted for that. So that subject to that, it is when a builder's remedy lawsuit proceeds, it involves a whole separate third independent legal entity, which is the Fair Share Housing Association Coalition. So it is a three-way lawsuit, a lawsuit with a developer, a lawsuit with Fair Share to satisfy our affordable housing requirement. So we've settled with the developer. That's already been approved. That's how we got to this zoning overlay. This is just following the rules of that settlement that's already been approved. And then we have to settle with Fair Share. Fair Share is not completely finished yet, and the court has scheduled a hearing in August so that we can confirm that we've actually done the zoning overlay so that we can finalize the settlement with Fair Share. We have already finalized the settlement with the developer. So that is essentially why we are here tonight, and the timing worked out. We have no control over the developer, and we learned of the developer's desire to sell the property last week, just like everyone else did.
Thank you.
Karen, do you want to restart the clock? I think that's it.
I'll take care of it.
Sorry, Ryan.
No, it's me. Yep.
This is general comment on any matter, right?
Just name it.
Hi, Kyle Deneen from Old Bridge.
Sorry, can you spell the last name?
Deneen, D-I-N-E-E-N from Old
Thank you.
Bridge. Thank you. It's a general comment, right, on any subject
Whatever.
matter? Okay, hi, sorry. So yes, I'm Kyle Deneen from Old Bridge, and I just wanted to come to say thank you tonight for recognizing June as Pride Month. The reason why I showed up late here tonight is because I was speaking next door in Old Bridge, where we had a Pride rally outside of the town council meeting because right next door, they are unwilling to recognize June as Pride Month and have gone so far as to introduce a resolution that passed, which actually bars any kind of flag raisings from taking place. And it's very upsetting. So I'm glad to know that next door in a town like Matawan that you are respecting people of all different backgrounds. And I just wanted to come and say thank you. Yeah, I would have gotten here sooner, but there was literally a woman after I gave my speech, she came up crying to me, talking about how scared she feels right now with everything that's going on, and that she feels very sort of lost in the world. And you know, we don't want anybody, no matter who they are, what their background is, to feel that way. We want to come together as Americans. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I got a couple of questions. One with the auction. Can I buy it? As a member of the council?
You can put in a bid.
I registered to it, to be honest with you. I did register for it, to put in a bid.
I think.
Is there any kind of legal ramifications there if I do want to buy it?
Yeah, I mean, you would probably have to consider recusing yourself from certain votes if you ended up owning that property.
Well, my vote's been pretty much well documented, but go ahead.
Right. I mean, so if you were just like any other council member, you know, if you own a property and there's litigation involving that property or there are votes involving that property, then my legal advice would be to recuse yourself from matters involving that property.
Okay. Another comment while we're on this thing here. Ryan and Mr. Mayor, you have mentioned a couple times that this rezoning or ordinance to rezone it was part of the settlement. I was privy to those conversations. I'm not an idiot. This was never mentioned in any of the settlements. The only thing we had mentioned in our settlements was the amount of units that was discussed and agreed upon. This is all new to me, and I was there last year for this. And remember, we had a lot of conversation, and I wasn't happy about it. But to your point, yes, we have to protect the borough. However, if this was known to me about rezoning a commercial district into a mixed use, I would have fought harder for it, because what you're telling me, I can rezone my house in Ravine to become a casino.
So the only thing I can say is it was in the settlement agreement that the governing body had a copy of.
We pay the lawyers to tell us this.
If this is such an important initiative, the legislative initiative before the governing body, I would hope every member read it.
Okay, again, we pay lawyers to give us the talking points. They were adamant about the amount of units that we fought for, from 54 down to 44, whatever it was. That was always the conversation. I'm not here as a lawyer to read a legal document. I expect the people I pay, in this case Raynone, and I wish he was here because I could tell it to his face, for doing a shitty job. Because you should have told me, everyone, and laid it out, bullet point by bullet point. You are liable for this, you are liable for this. Because if this was in there, and I was told about it on the day in question, I would have said fight harder for it. Because why should I, if the builder is dumb enough to sit there, I want to buy commercial and make it residential, that's on him. And to your point, yes, no municipalities ever won. But guess what? We could have at least tried a lot harder. So that's why I got concerned about that one. You're telling me I should read legal documents. I read on more than enough than probably this council does, and I question you on a lot of stuff. You can't say that I don't, because I do. That should have been a highlighted portion of the settlement, saying, oh, by the way, Matawan Council, you approve this. You are now also approving a rezoning of your historic district.
It's not the entire district.
I also just need to underscore, you know, for everybody on this dais' guidance, that when we're talking about, you know, I know things start blending together, but we're talking about advice that's coming from attorneys. It's a very, you know, obviously everybody knows about attorney-client privilege. Mm-hmm. So we're walking a very fine line when we talk about what attorneys say and what attorneys didn't say. There's certainly a conversation that could be had offline, but we have to be careful in terms of divulging attorney-client privilege. I'm not accusing you of having done that. I'm just trying to advise everybody on this body that, you know, once we start walking that line, what did the attorneys say? What the attorneys didn't say? Did they do it during executive session? You know, did they do it when outlining a settlement agreement? These are all things that are probably attorney-client privilege. So I would just, you know, exercise caution in that regard, because we don't want to waive our privilege, which could hurt us in litigation.
I understand. I was there, even in behind closed doors, I don't remember this being said. And I would like to question that to our attorneys.
Anyone else privileged to the floor?
Regina Hahn, 222 Main Street, Matawan. I think that this is a general statement and it's a specific statement. First of all, the towns are acquiescing to the extortion that's being given to these small communities in fear of legal suits. And if we don't start standing up to these legal suits, we're going to lose not only our town, but our state. We need to start fighting back and making sure that our communities are protected. And that starts with our borough councils. So I really want to see you take the action that's necessary to follow Suzanne's comment and make a risk and see if you can defeat some of these issues that are coming at us left and right. Our community is being destroyed. Our neighborhoods are being destroyed. Our towns are being overrun with traffic. We have to defeat these kind of actions that are coming at us. And I also would like to know if any of these actions and any of these meetings that you discussed were publicly in newspapers and issued to the public, because I have not seen any of them. Can you tell me, are you publishing these things for the public?
Actually, there's been several notices regarding our settlement conferences in the court, and they have to be advertised in our legal paper of record and on our website.
And you have published them?
Yes.
In our local newspapers?
In the Home News Tribune. The paper,
North-
no, sorry, it's the Asbury Park Press now.
Asbury Park Press is the official newspaper for the borough as well as the Star Ledger.
Sorry.
Okay.
My bad.
All right.
And everything that goes to publication is also posted on the website.
And I'll be able to retrieve them?
Yes.
All right. So please take advantage of the opportunity to stand up for your town and for your communities and fight issues when they're being forced down your throat. Do not acquiesce.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Doug Hanlon. I live at 3 Lakeside Drive in the Green White neighborhood. Mr. Mayor, Town Council.
I'm sorry, sir, I'm not picking you up.
I apologize to my fellow residents if this is going to be a disgusting conversation. So I live at 3 Lakeside Drive. Hey there. I want to talk about 1 Lakeside Drive. Quick recap since I have such little time. The neighbors had sewage line blocked, completely blocked. They took the clean out port out and let raw sewage for a family of 4. That's human feces, urine, toilet paper all over the yard. After the pile got so high, they took a barn shovel, shoveled it into a big tote container, dragged it over the side of their yard, and threw it over the hill, which goes to Lake Lefferts. At the end, it got too messy, so they backed up and just piled it on the side of their yard. So after 6 months, I came, started getting involved. I procured an attorney, and I started pushing the town. I started pushing the county. I started pushing the state DEP. So, okay, from my understanding is the neighbors have spent the money to have a plumber clean out the line. It didn't collapse. The clean out port is closed from what I can see. Now, concerning remediation, the neighbor took a lawnmower and went back and forth across the lawn on a hot summer day when all the feces is dried out and is cracked and looks like, well, I can't say, looks poor, and just drove it back and forth and made a big cloud of, well, I can't say, and took care of it. Now, after that, it rained several times, so we can assume that's all in the ground, it's gone away. It's okay, that issue's resolved, I guess, for the town. That's bio-waste, by the way. So now we have a pile of human feces, toilet paper, and a big pile. You couldn't put it in a wheelbarrow. We're talking about a big pile of trash, 6 months worth of human feces for a family of 4. I went on vacation, I come back, it's gone. So I've asked you guys to investigate. One, I want to know about the lake. So you said, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Reynolds said you would get the lake tested. So why?
I spoke with Commissioner Director Arnone last evening and today, and he did give me the resolution that he has spoken to the Board of Health. They will be doing the water testing and the results will be shared.
To the public. Okay, so I know what you're all thinking. Now, you're on top of your game. You're representative of us. You're thinking, there's E. coli in there, hepatitis A, B, C, HIV. What you're going to do? What are we going to do with the lake to protect the people? You're already on top of that. I can see it in your eyes. You're all thinking. They're there, every one of you. Time's running, so I'll keep moving on. Okay, so that was item 1. We stopped the leak. Item 2, you're going to test the lake. You're thinking about the future. We talked about timelines, which I'm still waiting on, and then the remediation. So we've got wheelbarrows of human feces, toilet paper piled up, run over the hill, and it's gone. So did they hire a biohazard company? Did the state clean it up? Did the county clean it up? Did the town clean it up? If they didn't do that, did they put it in, hefty trash bags and throw it out with the trash? Hopefully they got it all, and people throw away diapers, so okay, it's in the trash truck and it's gone. It's biohazard, it's on the hill. Now, I don't want to talk badly about the neighborhoods, but they did dump human feces on their front lawn for 6 months. So they could have used a biohazard company, they could have put it in a bag, or the easiest thing is, and we all know, I'm gonna say it, shit runs downhill, you throw it over the hill, which goes directly to the lake. So it goes to the Lake Lefferts. So where is the pile of human feces, toilet paper? Where is it? It's gone. Where is the pile? Now I left with the town, the county, and the state looking at this. So you better believe you're not the only people I'm going to be asking these questions. But where is it? Where is the pile? Well, can you answer me? You're burning my time.
I was waiting for you,
I'll
but.
give you 15 seconds, and it's my turn to close. Go.
Okay, Mr. Hanlon, first of all, I do want to thank you for bringing this to our attention. I've been in touch with your attorney as recently.
Over and over,
as recently as today. And finally, really due to your persistence, we have gotten the county, we've been trying to talk to you for weeks, to agree to test the water. I've got an email from the county.
Well, your time's up because I have 5 seconds. The county closed a beach in Monmouth County because of E. coli. Okay, so I don't understand how they can close a beach on a lake in New Jersey in Monmouth County, and you guys can't figure out how to test here. It is beyond.
Okay, so.
Hey, I'll be back in a month, so I'm not going away. I know my time. I am not going away. You are going to address this issue. Okay? I told you, Mr. Mayor, when it's unacceptable, it's unacceptable. That doesn't mean I don't like it. This is unacceptable. All right, see you in a month.
Well, if I could, just briefly.
Yeah, go ahead.
So today, first of all, I think that the beaches that you're talking about were in Ocean County, if I'm not mistaken. But okay, I read an article about 2 Ocean County beaches that were shut down. I'm not arguing that human feces could not be a basis for shutting down beaches, because I know that that's happened in Ocean County. It may well happen in Monmouth as well. So what I am saying is that our public health department is the county. So we've tried to do the best that we can as a borough for the last several months. We brought the property owners to court. The property owners had to stop the sewage from coming out onto their lawn, so that was part of the problem. Now in terms of the lake, after going back and forth with the county, with whom we've contracted to handle this situation, the county did not initially think that there was a basis to test the water. We stayed on them, and finally today I got this email, which I'm happy to read. Michael Fitzgerald, who's the county counsel for the county of Monmouth, stated that he's going to share the testing points. When we get that information, we will share that with members of the public as well. And he said, for now, he wants to share one thing with me, which is that he's going to have concerns about the timing of the samples, but he's going to go in and he's going to try to determine. When I say he, the Department of Public Health is going to try to determine the origin. If they're going to test the water and determine whether there is some sort of pollution or issues that have to be abated. So this is all being handled at this point. And I think the entire council and members of the community understand your frustration, and we wish that this could have happened months ago. But unfortunately, we're here right now on June 3rd, and at least we have received confirmation from the county that they are going to do this testing if they haven't already started the testing. Okay. So last meeting, I don't think you were even here. A member of the council raised the issue that they had talked to the county, and the county said, write us a formal letter asking for the testing. We wrote a formal email asking for the testing, and I hadn't heard back for a couple of weeks. Heard back today, they're doing the testing. So we are trying to address this. I can only imagine what it would be like to be the neighbor of this property, and I wouldn't want to be in your shoes. but we are doing the best that we can as a municipality that contracts out with this public health entity to have this testing done. So.
That was very nice. Appreciate it. Last time we spoke, I said, what's the timeline? What's the timeline?
So.
You're going to test on Tuesday? I'll go out, show more information.
Though the best that we can do is continue to email the county with whom we've contracted and ask them for the results of the testing. Again, I'm not a public health expert. I don't think anybody else up here is. If they are, they can feel free to chime in, but I'm hoping that we can get the results of the testing sooner rather than later.
I do have a question.
How is it that the council, you can have a timeline to build a whole building and have meetings for it? Why can't get a timeline to do two things?
Sir, I feel your frustration. We will reach out to the county again. The mayor also contacted Director Unknown as well as Commissioner LaCitra. So I feel your frustration, and maybe we just need to reevaluate our relationship and our contract with the county if they're not providing the service that we need.
I do have two questions. Maybe this may help you. One, where are they testing? Are they going to test by the gentleman's property? And two, if they do find something, who's going to be held responsible? Who's going to pay for any kind of cleanup?
Well,
will we go to the residents and we do have proof that they dumped? We're going to say, hey, guess what? You owe the county, whatever, $55,000 to clean this up. I'm trying to understand myself to this gentleman timeline.
You're talking about blood from Borough. They have over 27 liens on their house. That's not going to happen.
Again,
but I really don't care if it's going to pay for it. I only care about the timeline. It's an easy one. Test the lake, and where did the shit go?
I want to know where they're testing. If they get test somewhere else, they all waste clean. I want to test by your property.
I request.
I get it.
I did request behind 1 and 3 Lakeside and at Ravine Drive, as you and I had discussed.
So that's nice. So.
And that was what I put in my email. I said 1 Lakeside, 3 Lakeside, and Ravine. So I'm hoping, look, I can't be sure where they're testing, and it's been a source of frustration. We've asked them, to ensure that the fecal matter had been removed, and sometimes the photos that they give us demonstrate that they may not be canvassing the entire property. So it's an ongoing source of frustration. But at this point, we can only do what the county, go by the information that the county is giving us. And the county is saying that they've done the testing. We've asked them to test 1 Lakeside, 3 Lakeside, and Ravine. Hopefully we'll find out the results of it. And certainly if there's pollutant and they deem it to be unsafe, then that's going to have to take precedence over everything else. As I understand it, there's fishing there. So we're going to have to step in. And I'm not sure whether it's going to be a county issue, a municipal issue, a state issue, or all three. So I think we're going to have to deal with this as it comes. And this is something I can ask the county if they can have a representative here next meeting. I think that would be helpful, so they could answer for themselves as well.
Mr. Cohen, can you also pull the contract so we can reevaluate our relationship and our contract with them in terms of service?
Yeah, I've asked Ryan, just today, so we're going to do that.
So my citizens feel comfortable that I have a timeline on when they're going to test the lake. Where all did the human feces go? The piles of it. You got it? You feel comfortable with this? Yeah, are you comfortable? Is everybody comfortable with the timeline? And they're going to get back to me with the results. You know it. They couldn't answer a question of where is this shit. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, my attorney will be in touch.
Thank you.
If you don't test the lake, I'm going to find somebody to test it, and I'll test what I want. I'm going to take 4 days, do it, bottom.
Stephanie Buckle, 14 Chestnut Drive. Just curious, shouldn't notice be put out to the residents that the lake is possibly contaminated? I mean, I feel like that is an awful, disgusting thing. If it's not, people can get sick.
Well, I would say that's probably up to our public county health official. So I would hope that they would have some information on that. Good thing people don't drink out of that lake, so that's a good thing.
Of course,
they don't. I know, I get it, it's gross, but I'm not a public health expert. I'm not a public health expert.
We will have children too.
100%.
12-year-old boys go down there, try to jump in when nobody's looking. Like, I think we should know to be able to tell the community that there's a possibility you can get. I mean.
Well, also if the test comes back and if there's nothing there, then, it would be an alarm for no reason. So getting more information and factual information first would be super helpful.
It would be devastating if
a child got E. coli of some sort because of that. And then we said, well, we didn't want to cause a panic, but now somebody loses a life because of a bacterial infection.
The county-
That's just something to keep in mind. That's all
Yeah,
I'm saying.
no, I appreciate that. So the county has been aware of this exact situation for weeks, if not months. And they're aware of what human feces does and doesn't do. Nobody up here, as far as I know, is a biostatistics or biochemist or environmental health specialist. So the county, for whatever reason, only saw fit to do the testing today. And we just found out about it. So we have to operate in real
I
time.
think his point then is that Matawan needs to do better and get the county to act, because this is a very serious thing.
Right.
Bacterial infections are serious. They kill people. They kill pets. Like, this is very serious. I think it's something that I understand the county may not be acting, but you guys have to push for this and get it done.
Right. And I'm
We
going
can't
to.
do it, right?
We have been diligent. We've been on top of
Yeah,
it.
we'll continue to stay in touch both with Mr. Notarangelo, the attorney for the gentleman who just spoke, and with the county council. He emailed me at 2:24 this afternoon. That's when I first found out the testing was happening, at 2:24 this afternoon. And we're going to stay in
I
touch with
think
him every day.
something should be put out to the residents, just to be on notice. We don't know, but this is what it is. Because I would want to tell my children, like, don't go anywhere near there.
I mean, the email was a little bit cynical, it was skeptical as to whether it's really an issue. Again, this guy is the county council. He's not an REHS either. So we really just need to see when it becomes an issue of concern, because he pointed out that, there's also fecal matter from waterfowl, from geese, et cetera, which is generally not a public health concern. So we have to get the testing results back. I'm hoping that doesn't take a long time. And as soon as we find out if there is cause for concern, believe me, the borough is going to be all over it, the state's going to be all over it, the county is going to be all over it.
I just think something needs to put out beforehand. The way he's explaining it, it sounds like there's the possibility of big bacteria in there.
The county hasn't been as concerned as, but we're going to find out.
We should be, and make the county get going. Thank you.
You're welcome. I got to ask you a question, follow up on us. Made me think of this now. Two things. Don't we have a fishing derby next weekend? Do we think about that? Isn't there a derby and we haven't done fishing this lake recently? And we all knew this, again, I'm trying to understand here. If we knew this was an issue for months and we knew this resident was, I don't want to say it, but, dumping into the lake, why would we throw fish into it then? And then still promote a fishing derby if we think this could be an issue? I think we're opening ourselves up. I'm not saying we should, I don't know, honestly. If we know this could be an issue and this is a possibility, to what Ms. Buckle said, that someone can get sick, do we really want to have this fishing derby? And also, you also got summer rentals now going on with the camp. We got to be safe. You got your canoe rentals and people out there in kayaks. You may want to put a sign up there. Hey, forewarning, there's an issue going on here. I think we should put this out to the public. I don't want to cause a scare either, but I also want to protect ourselves, like you said before about lawsuits. Back to the whole Mills River, we're protecting the borough of Matawan and our residents. We should tell them there's this possibility that this lake may be contaminated. We're in the process of testing it. And you know what? Call out the neighbor. Call out the person saying, based on this person at this address, dumping their shit into the lake, this is the reason why. Maybe people, lynch mob, go burn his house down.
I'll tell you what.
I don't think that's appropriate.
Advocating for that, but
I
got matches in my car.
In response to Councilman Ross's concern, I'll email the county tonight or tomorrow morning, and I'll say, listen, there's a fishing derby. Should we advise the residents? Because that's what we pay them for. To the council president's point, in some towns, they don't have a county to be their public health specialist. The county of Monmouth offers that, so a lot of towns in Monmouth County, if not most or all of them, take advantage of that service. There are towns that have their own registered environmental health specialist. We're not fortunate enough to do that, but I will email the county and I will ask them the question. I will say there's going to be a fishing derby. There are residents that were concerned at last night's meeting. What should we tell them? And find out their level of concern, because these are the people that are the experts on that subject that we're paying to do that. So hopefully they know better than us. We all agree it sounds gross, but none of us are public health experts.
Correct.
These people are.
And I get Monmouth County is also a short community, so they're probably doing a lot of stuff at the beaches. If it is worth it, maybe we look into, if they are dragging their feet with the results, maybe we go out and hire somebody ourselves. and pay the fee or whatever.
Yeah, we should definitely consider getting a new arrangement and not using the county because it's
I'm
been.
okay with that, sure, it's fine.
Anyone else? Privilege of the floor?
Can I ask a quick question regarding last meeting? It was announced by you, Ryan, that we were video recording our meetings now.
Yes.
Can you explain the process of that?
Sure. So they're recorded right there. It's then, so essentially it's recorded and then it gets released on YouTube the next day or so whenever our borough operations coordinator releases it on YouTube.
Do we have an option for live stream like many municipalities do?
We do have an option, but that would require potentially having someone run the live stream. In a prior town that I had, it opened that town up to having many different people participate in their meetings, and we had to pay for someone to be at those meetings to manage just the online portion. So when we underwent this this sort of project to make it live, to videotape, we decided that that was not the direction in which we were going to go. We were going to record and then post them later. So that's what we've been doing.
I understand. It just seems that there's like a lag time in posting, like it's almost like 24 hours or so before they get posted. So people who aren't here have to wait until it gets posted. So is there can it be like the following day at 9 a.m. or whatever the workday starts at?
Yeah, I mean, I'll certainly speak with the borough team that handles it, and we'll try to, within reason, get it as fast posted as possible.
Thanks.
Come on.
You guys haven't heard enough from me. Well, first I just want to thank Mr. Hamlin for bringing this to
Curtis,
everybody's
can you
attention.
please restate your name and address?
Oh, Curtis Roystead, 13 Church Street, Matawan.
Thank you.
So I want to thank Mr. Hamlin for bringing this to everybody's attention. I can tell you that my 18-year-old son is always trying to swim in the lake, always asks about swimming in the lake. So you just alleviated that question for me for all time. Because I'm sure when I tell him what I just learned tonight, that's going to be he's never going to ask that question again. The other thing I just wanted to ask really fast was, what is the municipal budget, just approximately, just on the municipal level? Like, what's our overall annual budget?
Roughly $15 million.
So 15 million, I would just say, that going back what the mayor had said before, I would wholeheartedly agree that with all the things that the town bonds for, if there would be a position where 160 Main Street would be considered for some sort of acquisition because of this situation, money well spent, in my opinion.
If I win the auction, I'll sell to the town.
For a dollar.
For less, right? For less, right. Anyone else? Privilege of the floor. So noted. Motion to close privilege of the floor?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion passed.
And motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion passed.
Thanks for coming out.
No, that was, we're saving executive. I know. So,